Welcome to this quick start tutorial. Here I'm gonna show you how to use Vim and how to configure some settings to make it more useful without the use of any additional plugins. This tutorial is intended to make Vim useful to edit system files or do quick edits on remote servers. This is not a tutorial on how to make Vim a full IDE. So I'm gonna start by showing you my configuration. I'm using the global Vim configuration file. My config starts at line 22. So basically this will allow us to enable syntax highlighting and indentation. Then I'm copying some settings from NeoVim. The reason I'm not using NeoVim is because it's not available on many distributions, or if it's available, it is a really old version, to the point that even regular Vim is more updated. For example, this happens on the Raspberry Pi. So here, basically, I'm setting the defaults as close as possible to NeoVim, which make Vim more user-friendly. Down below, I'm not disabling the mouse, so I'm keeping this as a reminder, because if you disable mouse support on Vim, Vim will fail to resize the window correctly. So for example, if you resize your terminal window, the buffer will not adapt correctly. So I'm keeping the mouse support enabled. In any case, if you want to make a regular selection, not trigger a Vim selection, you can press the Shift key and click, and you can get a regular terminal selection. Basically here I'm configuring Vim to use only 2 spaces for tabs. I'm expanding the tabs automatically into spaces, enabling auto indentation, making searches more user-friendly, and enabling line wrapping by default, meaning that if the lines overflow the terminal, they will appear on the line below. Commented all of the config, that way it will be easier to understand what every line does. Down below we have the remaps. So I'm disabling line numbers by default, but when we click the F2 key, I'm gonna toggle line numbers. Then I'm gonna enable the gray column you see at column 81 if line numbers is enabled. This is convenient because with a single key I can toggle the line numbers as well as the gray line at column 81. So F2 will hide both the line numbers and the column, and pressing F2 again will show them again. Down here, the leader key means backslash. In this case, I'm gonna use backslash and uppercase E to toggle the file explorer. Yes, Vim has a file explorer by default, so you do not need any additional plugin. So let's try backslash uppercase E, and I have my file explorer. If I press it again, this will hide the file explorer. I'm doing something similar for the terminal, so I have the leader key plus uppercase T to toggle the terminal at the right. So leader plus T opens up the terminal. Right now I'm logged into the terminal, so if I press leader key uppercase T, it will just type into the terminal. If you want to get out of the terminal or basically switch to a different panel, you press Ctrl W. In this case I want to go back to the previous panel, so Ctrl W, H, and I will go to the previous panel. If I want to hide the terminal, I can go back, Ctrl W, L, and press Ctrl D. Finally, I'm setting some custom colors. If the Vim light variable is set, I'm gonna change the background, color column, and line number colors. And I'm going to do the opposite if the variable is not set. This way I will be able to use the dark style by default, but if the Vim light variable is set, Vim will use light colors by default. Okay, so let's start with the basics. I'm gonna open an example file. As I showed you before, I'm gonna enable line numbers and the vertical column by pressing F2. So for basic navigation, you can use the H, J, K, L keys. So J to go down, K to go up, L to go right, yes I know, L for right, and H for left. Although this is kinda unnatural, it's way faster and it becomes really useful once you get used to it. Otherwise, if you want to use the arrow keys, you can also do that, but this becomes really slow because you move your hand away from the rest of the keyboard. So I would recommend you to stick with the HJKL. You will get used to it in no time. You can also combine the movement with numbers. So for example, if I wanna go forward like 5 times, I can press 5. You can see the current keys you are pressing here at the bottom right. And then I can press the L key and I'll go forward 5 times. I can do the same with most of the Vim commands. For example, if I do 2 and K, I'll go up 2 lines. Let's say that I want to go to line 11, which is band dot init band. One option is to press 7 and go down. This requires more brain power. And also you need to move your fingers away from the HJKL keys. Let's go back to the beginning with double G. And one thing I would recommend is to use the numbers like 11 down, up, is way faster. You can also use 22 down or large numbers like 55 up if you are not sure. This way will be way faster to do the movement. Keep in mind that this is not the only way to use the numbers or to move. For example, if you wanna scroll down half of the page, you can press Ctrl D. Ctrl D and Ctrl D and you go until you reach the end of the file. To go to the beginning, double G. To go to the end of the file, uppercase G or Shift G. Okay, let's go up, but this time let's scroll up, so it would be Ctrl Y, Ctrl Y, Ctrl Y, or you can go with double G. Or if you are not sure if you wanna go like down a lot, maybe you can do 55 down. Oh yes, we reached the end because there is only 27 lines. If you wanna center the content, you can scroll with scroll up with Ctrl E or Ctrl Y until you feel comfortable with the scrolling position. Okay, let's go up again. Vim has different modes. This is normal mode. It allows you to navigate quickly between the file and see its content. If you want to edit the content, you can insert the content if you switch to insert mode, or you can make selections. Let's make an insert. So I'm gonna go a bit up and here. I can insert at the cursor position by pressing I, and then I can start typing. As you can see, the text is being typed before the cursor. So if I want to insert after, I'm gonna press escape. Right now I'm in normal mode again, and you can press A to add after. I can go down if I want, or I can also start inserting the content in the next line. To do that, I can press the O key. Cuts function. As you can see, I started typing on the next line. If you want to go back to normal mode, you can press escape and you're back into normal mode. One disadvantage of the escape key is that it is farther away. Yeah, it doesn't look like it because your hand can like easily reach all of the keyboard, but once you get quick with Vim, it really feels farther away. So to make it easier, instead of using the escape key, for example, if you're on insert mode, you can press Ctrl left square bracket. It's the same as the escape key. So right now I'm back into normal mode. There is a lot of weird key combinations, but once you practice and get used to them, you will get really quick. Then you will understand why they are laid down that way, because it doesn't make sense at the beginning. So let's say I want to delete this whole text I just wrote. Well, I can go to selection mode. Let's say I want to go to the beginning of the line, so I will press 0. So if I switch to visual mode, I can start selecting with the HJKL or the arrow keys if you prefer, but I wouldn't recommend it. And then I can delete by pressing the D key, D, and that gets deleted. Let's delete this. Yes, you can also delete by pressing double D. This will delete a single line. Double D deletes one line. Double D and double D, but as you can see, it's a bit slow. And let's go to a different function. So I'll go back to the beginning and here. Let's say I want to delete these two lines. Yes, the element. So if I go to visual mode, I will start like selecting. I can go down, and you see it's a bit slow. In this case, I can press uppercase V, and this will switch to line selection. So I can start like selecting whole lines, and then the D key to delete, and that gets deleted. To undo, just U. If you want to redo, Ctrl R. In this case, we delete it, so we redo the deletion. I'm gonna undo. Okay. You can also take advantage of the block selection. So this one allows you to select a block. So if you want to make a comment, for example, let's comment these two lines. You go to visual block, press uppercase I to insert at the beginning, and then you start commenting. It doesn't look like it is applying to the rest of the selection, but you have to press the escape key or Ctrl left square bracket. And there it is. Let's say you made a lot of changes and you cannot press U to undo anymore. So what you can do is go back to visual block, select what you want to delete, and D to delete. Another really useful key is the star sign. So if I place a cursor on top of a word and then I press star, Vim will automatically move the cursor to the next match. So as you can see here, I have two matches, and you can do this with any word. So here I have download, the star, and it will take me to all of the matches. This is doing a match by word, not by variable, because this is a text editor, and we didn't install any language server plugins. Personally, I do not like to configure Vim as an IDE because I do not want to spend 100 years setting an IDE when I have VS Code already. But I still consider Vim a really powerful tool to make quick edits on files, for example when you are doing a git merge, or to edit files on remote servers, when you are using SSH for example. So if you are wondering what's the opposite of a star, for example if you want to go to previous match, is the hashtag sign. If I press the hashtag sign, I will go back to the previous match. You can also match by brackets or parentheses. So here I'm gonna go to the closing parentheses by pressing %sign. I can also do this with brackets. So if I hover here and I press the %sign, I will go down here to line 13. So let's try here. I will match the other bracket. And here I am. I will try to match now the square brackets here. And it's working as expected. Another useful shortcut is to change the case. So for example, I'm selecting this. Yeah, of course this is gonna break the code, but it's only for example. You need to have a selection, or you can also hover on a single character. In this case, I will switch to visual selection again, and instead of walking, I can find a character. So in this case, I can select up to the comma at the end. To do this, I will press F and the key I wanna find. In this case, the comma. And the selection will be done. And press the tilde key. And there it is. I will undo the changes. And it's undone. So let's try to do something more interesting. For example, let's replace this code. So I'm gonna go to visual, find this, delete. Once it's deleted, it went to the Vim clipboard. If I keep deleting, the last deletion will go to the Vim clipboard, which is the selection clipboard. and we have a lot of clipboards that can be used by using registers. Let's stick with the concept of last deletion. So now I'll go back to insert mode, delete this, put this, escape. I will paste here what I deleted before, add. As you can see, I'm replacing this, escape, I will add at the end, there it is. So I was able to quickly replace the previous code with a newer syntax in a quick and efficient way. If you're wondering why sometimes I use escape and sometimes use control and left square brackets, it depends on where your hands are at. Sometimes it just feels quicker to press escape, or sometimes control left square bracket. Okay, so if you want to save the changes, you press colon, right. To force save is write an exclamation sign, or to exit without saving is Q for quit and exclamation sign. So I'm gonna exit. As a bonus, I'm gonna install Airline. It's not my favorite, but it's still useful, and the advantage is that it's available on many Linux distributions, so it's not a big deal for me. So after installing it, we open up Vim, and you will see that you have a new status line. So let's try to open up our file again, and as you have seen, it's just a prettier line. Yeah, it's a bit more convenient, but if you're only gonna doing quick edits, I don't see reason to use it. But that's up to you. That's all, and I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. See you next time.